of Adventures with Wes and Jeff, and I am in the state of Minnesota, the very tip top of Minnesota. I flew into Minneapolis today and I drove 5 hours north to the border with Minnesota and Canada, and this is Voyageurs National Park. This is the first stop here at the lake, one of the 4 huge lakes that are here. There are 26 lakes and all kinds of islands, like over 500 islands that make up this park. And this was the first stop. It's really pretty. The waves are kind of big on the lake today. There's kind of some storms off in the distance, but this is really pretty here. I'm gonna flip the camera around. This is the lake here. There's nobody around. The visitor center is actually closed. There's an old canoe there and a dock where you can actually kayak from here, or a canoe. And out on the peak here is the Voyageurs National Park sign. So it's usually my first stop is to take a picture of the sign. A little windy, but it's really pretty. Rocks. This park is mostly by water, though 40% of this park is over water. So you have to take a boat, which I'm gonna do tomorrow, and take it out onto the lake to one of the islands. It's got the little American island, and take a ranger-led program, as well as see some of the overlooks here at the lakes, the Rainy Lake, and there's another visitor center, and they have a nice little picnic area here with a view. There's a little lake island out there, and there's just a short little trail over to the sign. So this is really pretty, and I caught a fairly good day to do this, and so stay tuned and I'll show you what there is to see and do at this park, at least the driving side of it along the shorelines, and and the boat ride tomorrow, and some of the visitor center. So stay tuned. I can show you what there is to see to do at this national park. First stop for Voyageurs National Park at Ash River Visitor Center. They have 3 visitor centers at this park, and I just wanted to take a stop here. They're already closed for the day because it took me a little while to get here, but let's just take a look at the surroundings. So there's their sign, the stairs go up to the visitor center, and it's these old log cabins, and I can see the lake behind it. So still might try and get in to see this while I'm here, but it may actually be closed for the season still. But there's a little walkway around the back to the lake. Let's take a look at that beautiful lake. Some chairs back here. Look how relaxing that is. Very cute. Beautiful. Oh, and there's a dock down there. I'm gonna go down to the dock and check it out. Here at the Ash River Visitor Center, there's this dock where folks bring in their kayaks and their canoes, and they can go out onto the lake. This old canoe here, this wooden one, is really cool. It's got a beaver on one end. It's got arrowheads on the other end. So That's a pretty cool canoe. And this dock is really cool that the National Park Service has put in for folks to access this lake. First little trail that I'm going to take is only 0.4, and it's the Kabetogama Overlook Trail. So I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm going to get it before the end of the video, though, I promise you. But it's only 0.4, and it's supposed to be a good view of the lake and the surroundings. So I'm going to do that quick little hike here. On the Lake Kabetogama Trail Overlook Trail, which is only 0.4. I'm the only one here. It's around 6:15 in the evening. Sun doesn't set here because we're so far north in the United States. It doesn't set here until 9:14 tonight. So I got a few hours, and I wanted to take in a couple little hikes before the sun sets. Hopefully I can get some pictures over the lake. Then after the sun goes down, I'm hoping it's clear enough that I'm gonna see the northern lights. So the northern lights are supposed to be viewed at this time of year, surprisingly, up here at this national park. So I'm hoping to get some shots of that. Lake Kabetogama Overlook Trail at the end. It's only 0.4, and it is a beautiful view of the islands and of the lake in the background there. So it takes you out to the end where there's some like logs here for you can sit on and just relax here in the woods and look out over the lake. You can see this is that's the lake's name. And there's the fur traders, which this park was named, the name Voyageurs actually refers to the French-Canadian fur traders that were the original, the Native Americans were here first, like inhabited this area for like 10,000 years. So they came into this area looking for beaver pelts and to, get the beaver. And so they ended up communicating with the Native Americans and working with them. Actually, they purchased canoes from them or traded with them for manufactured goods, and they ended up getting in return canoes and different things that they could use for their fur traffic. This little guy right there. Hi there, and this is the just after sunrise at Lake Cab. I'm just going to call it Lake Cab, and it's beautiful with the reflection of the sun, a little bit of sun that I have off in the distance. That's a loon. You can hear it. I stayed here at Woodenfrog State Campground, which is pretty much right on the lake, and it was $17 a night for my campsite, and this is my view in the morning. So. Here at Voyageurs National Park, it's kind of a unique park in that 40% of it is water, so there are all these boats lined up here from the National Park Service where they navigate the waters. They go out to all the islands. There's over 500 islands, 26 lakes, and so they have to effectively manage it. So if you look at all the boats here just lined up, and this is the visitor center, and this is the dock. These are all National Park Service ranger boats that are lined up here. Not too many are out on the lake right now, but this is just one of the several lakes that they have. And these are the boats that go out and monitor, make sure that everybody is behaving, and if anybody needs help or whatever. But this is the view here at the Lake Kabetogama Visitor Center. This is one of the 3 visitor centers here at Voyageurs National Park. I'm just gonna take a little tour of it. So it's right here, right at the boat docks. That's the view outside. Beaver pelts, and talks about the rocks and the beavers. It's a small visitor center. Restrooms, of course, water bottles, people. A small visitor center. One of the most popular day trips from this visitor center is to take a boat tour out to Ellsworth Rock Gardens. This unique rock and terraced flower garden was created by Jack and Elsie Ellsworth over many summer vacations from 1944 to 1966. The Ellsworth transformed a 60-foot high granite outcrop into a terraced rock garden. All of the sculptures were made by hand and wheelbarrow. Some of the stacked rock structures are huge and include a table and chair, arrowhead, balanced rock, teepee, cat, stone bridge, etc. Riding a fish.
Fish must
Number 57 for me.
Fish must like it. He's smiling.
Yeah. One of the most unique things that you can do at this park in the winter months between January and March is to drive across the 8-mile long ice road on this frozen lake. In addition to this lake, there's also a 9.3-mile ice road accessible from the boat launch at the Kabetogama Lake Visitor Center. I'm here at the Woodenfrog Trail, and it's just 1.5 miles. It starts from the Rainy Lake Visitor Center and it goes along the shoreline. So I'm going to do that one and go to the couple overlooks here. So Woodenfrog was a champion of making this a national park, and he finally succeeded. in 1975, and so he grew up here and enjoyed this park and this area and wanted to make it a national park. So they named this trail after him. Obenholzer Trail, and right here at the Rainy Lake Visitor Center. The Obenholzer Trail, and I can't stress enough, you gotta wear bug spray. There's a lot of mosquitoes and those black flies here. This is middle of July, actually it is July 15th, and they are out in force. So, but other than that, we just had a rain here, so everything is so green here in upper state Minnesota. But just had a rain, getting ready to go out on our boat ride out to Little American Island, and just walking the Obenholzer Trail along the shoreline just to kill a little bit of time and just to take in the rest of the sights. But this was one of the trails that I list to do. So it's only 1.5 miles. So I'm trying to do 0.75 within 15 minutes and then turn around and head back so I don't miss my boat ride. That was one of the major reasons why I was able to schedule to come to this park, because it's kind of a process to make sure you get on the boat and scheduled. So you never know what the rain is gonna do, or if it's gonna be sunny. It's a crapshoot. So had a pretty nice morning. Yesterday was not too bad. A little bit of the Canada smoke came down from the wildfires that they had up there. So didn't have the northern lights like I wanted to have last night. But this is a very nice trail. It goes in the woods and it goes along the shoreline. The Obenholzer Trail is a few of these little raised boardwalks so that you can actually not get your feet wet, which is pretty cool. This is the Bayview Loop section of the Obenholzer Trail, and it opens up to a nice viewpoint of the shoreline of Rainy Lake. So it's a very nice little hike back here through the woods, through the birch trees and all. Taking a little cruise out to Little American Island out in Voyageurs National Park on this ship with those folks. So it meets here at the dock at Rainy Lake Visitor Center. And we had a little rain, but now I think it's cleared up, so this might be a good little cruise out to the island. So that's gonna be the Voyager boat right there with boat cruise for the National Park Service. Looking at a mine. That's the mine right there. On one of the little islands where they mined for gold back in the day.
The Bushyhead mine's only about 80 feet deep. If you think about what that would have looked like, what this landscape would have looked like at that time, you can imagine that it wasn't just a hole in the rock on the side of Bushyhead Island. Like I said, they were moving a lot of raw materials, a lot of heavy stone, quartz that could possibly have gold in it. And so there would have been a lot of building there. There would have been pumps and pulleys, of course pumps to keep the inside of the mine dry, pulleys to pull that raw material up. Many of the islands had sets of rudimentary tracks that could be used to bring the discarded pieces to what was called the tailings pit. These were non-gold bearing pieces.
It's an eagle's nest,
Our
right?
scientists here at Voyageurs National
There.
Park do an eagle survey every year to check the success rate of eagle breeding efforts.
So we're on the National Park Service Grand Tour of Voyageurs National Park out into Rainy Lake, and it decided to cut loose on us. So we got a little storm here going. A lot of people came inside, but I'm standing at the base of the bathroom. So it has a little overhang, which is out just this little bit by the American flag. Helped me. So some people are just gonna tough it out, and other people have gone inside. But it's pretty interesting, all the different islands. This national park has over 500 islands, and each one of these little guys right here is counted in that 500 total.
Keeping an eye out for some of those.
So we're also there. This guy here is looking for wildlife to point out to us: loons, bald eagles. Sometimes there's a moose that will swim over to these islands.
The timber industry was ongoing in this area, and as they made plans to dam 7 more locations along this lake system, insulated it so well that he could come up every other year, every 2 years, his ice would remain, which is a long time for ice to last. But he would come up here, he would cut his ice, and what would he do in his free year when everyone else was up here in the middle of winter cutting ice? Well, he'd go down to Arizona. Smart man, smart man. He lived here all by himself. He operated this commercial fish outfit as a one-man crew, employee of the month every single month. And he lived here with his dog Goofball. Like I said, he's an odd character. But you can imagine what would have brought him here. It's quiet. It's very remote. It's hard work. But he loved bird watching. He set up a lot of bird feeders on his island here. Can still pick. they housed their families and their children. And it's where the stamp mill for processing the gold that was found here would have been located. And so I mentioned that I like to do Little American Island as like a tale of two perspectives, and it ends up working out really well because there are two mines that operated on this island. We'll see both of them. And we saw Bushyhead mine, of course. Those are not the only mines that were active in this region. So there was quartz reef or hard rock mining. And so rather than picking up the deposits of riverways that had already been laid down and kind of sorted in a way by nature, they were building these mine shafts using materials like dynamite to initially blast away until they found a good quartz vein. And so this area kind of forms like a little cut here. This is not natural. This was formed by people as they were searching for that quartz vein. And then they would blast down to make the mine shaft. And if you look down there, what do you see today? A lot of water. And so I mentioned that they would have had to have pumps that kept the mine shaft dry. And of course, where these tall trees are today, you can see that they look relatively skinny. They're younger growth. So over top of the mine shaft would have been built a pulley system because they were chipping away at rock, putting it in buckets, and then hauling it to the top where it would be taken to either the tailings pit, which we'll see at our next stop, or loaded onto a vessel. It was possibly gold-bearing quartz, and it would have been taken back to Rainy Lake City, where it would have been crushed using giant stamp presses. The people who were drawn here, the miners themselves, they were looking for the chance to strike it rich. They were out of work. They were in dire financial circumstances while the rest of the country was in the midst of a depression. And so they were looking to provide for their families in any way that they could. And so if you were working day in and day out, cramped in the mines like we can see on the picture there, you can imagine how disappointing it would be every time you had to dump out the tailings pit of rock that was not bearing gold. All of this area, those hot liquids contain a lot of minerals and gold. No silver here, but mica was another common one that you can find in some of the islands that were mined here. And so it's forming all of these interesting minerals, really interesting resources.
So here on a little American island out in a Rainy Lake here at Voyageurs National Park, the ranger led a little tour where we were able to go on just like a 1/4 mile hike that took us to 2 different gold mines that they actually mined for gold here. They didn't make any money at it. It's too costly doing that. But this particular section of the little American island, it is the actual fault line where the gold was found along the line of the islands. So that's right here, the edge of you can see the natural slit in the island where it kind of jets back in naturally. And as she was explaining, right here is where we are right now, and this was the line of islands right up through here that had the actual gold that was found that contained the fault line. So people flocked here in 1893, but it was pretty short-lived. They didn't find much gold, but it inhabited this island. It was a nice little hike back into the island here, and people can also just bring their canoe over or their kayak, tour this themselves. But this was part of our grand tour that we took from the visitor center at Rainy Lake Visitor Center all the way out into the lake. So this was pretty cool. They took us to different other islands, and we just coasted by them. We looked for wildlife like the bald eagle and the loon and those type of things, but we have not seen a moose or anything like that. So it's a pretty cool little tour. So this was quite a little 2.5-hour tour. It actually lasted a little longer than that, of Rainy Lake here at Voyageurs National Park. And it was ranger led, and we went to two islands. We got off on one and toured around and did just a 1/4-mile hike. And the other one we drove around the island, and she explained about the gold rush history and the Voyageurs, the French-Canadian Voyageurs. This park is named after. So if you enjoyed this video of all of the different places that I went to visit, the hikes and everything that we saw in this video, click the like button down below and subscribe and watch our videos and follow us on our adventures to visit all of the national parks in the United States. So whatever you're doing today, get out and enjoy the great outdoors and do something that makes you smile.